Once again, I'm going to go back to chapter 4 of Malachi. The message of the covenant, there was only one messenger of the covenant, and that's Moses. God's showing you the messenger of the covenant will return. Moses was never allowed to go over in the promised land, but he's telling you Moses will come this time, but Moses is going to show up. I said, I live by the spirit of Moses. I was a messenger of the covenant. I was one of the attachment made on to Jesus Christ, which was the wings of covenant feet in Isaiah chapter 1. This was the spirit of Moses, and this was Elijah, spoken of in St. Luke chapter 1, I believe that's 17, but chapter 1 in St. Luke. Now, it said, remember you the law of Moses, verse 4, Malachi chapter 4. My servant which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel with the statutes and the judgment. Behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. In the day, he was telling us, he gave you two characteristics. In Revelation chapter 11, he said two witnesses will appear, but only one is going to be the messenger of the covenant. He's going to be preparing the way for the return of Jesus Christ. But John the Baptist, who was born with the spirit of Elijah, prepared the way for the birth of Jesus Christ. He was the wings that was covering their face. So once John the Baptist was beheaded, I had nowhere to go because it was not my time, but I had to be also made part of the sacrifice that Jesus, to bear the agony with Jesus Christ. The same as John the Baptist. John the Baptist was beheaded first, and when Jesus was transfigured in St. Matthew chapter 17 and went up in the mountain, he transformed himself into Moses and Elijah. Let you know that Moses and Elijah was still with him, was attached to him. So when Jesus was born unto his mother Mary, he was born with my spirit attached onto him. My spirit became a witness to the grave that Jesus did rise out of the grave, and that became a witness that Jesus was not the son of a man. How did God do this? By John the Baptist needing the substance of a man to be born, and I had the spirit of a man, needed the substance of a man to be born. We all came down together, spoken of in Isaiah chapter 6, 1-3, attached on to each other. Once John the Baptist was germinated, and he was born into his mother Elizabeth, spoken of in Luke chapter 1. Had I been yet attached to him, I would have been born a twin, a Siamese twin to John the Baptist. However, this become proof that I was not born yet attached to John the Baptist, that I had to be yet attached to Jesus Christ, because all three had to be slain in a format of 3 years, spoken of in Genesis 15:9-10, according to the heifer of 3 years old, the she-goat of 3 years old, and ram of 3 years old, and the pigeon and turtle dove, which was not separated, meaning that two of us was going to be in the same body, by he giving a symbol that the pigeon and the dove was not going to be separated. So I was yet born with Jesus. When Jesus went to the cross, I went to the cross with him. That's why God had to be the greater agnes to symbolize that there was three of us went to the cross and was slain, and this was completed when he had the one on this side and one on this side, to let you know this became a symbol that the fulfillment that God gave to Abraham when he told him to let him know that he gave him the land in the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and all this here. We became a witness that God gave him that when he told him, take me a heifer of 3 years old and a she-goat of 3 years old, and he mixed them together and made one sacrifice off all of them. This is why we was mixed together. We was John one to the other mixed together. We had to become the same sacrifice at the same mixture. So when John the Baptist was slain, we had to be slain in the format of that 3 years, because we all had to be slain for the law. But the United States, President George Bush, came and tried to blaspheme against God. That's the reason Mr. Babylon had blaspheming against God, called Mr. Babylon, because they made them change the law that God gave to Moses and changed it and replaced it with a law called the Mark, which is the law of their God, and not and making himself as God, as he said, sitting in the kingdom of God, ruling God's people. This is what this was all about. But God said, send me back here to warn America in the world of their transgression, where they are today, and they're standing in harm's way at a point of no return. And if they don't take and refrain from their way, it's going to be a great plague upon this earth, something that have never been seen. It's going to be more than nuclear weapon, the weather, and the great infirmities that God going to plague this earth with. Man going to want to change, but he is not going to have power to do it. But I was sent here by God to take and warn these people of their transgression so they can refrain from their way. Now, Malachi chapter 4 shows you that the Elijah would come back again. Moses was the messenger of the covenant. Chapter 3 shows you the messenger of the covenant. But when you see Elijah, he would be a united the same way it is. The law of democracy was created by the Gentiles. It was created for the white race only, and no black person born of the black race was never supposed to be ahead of this law. So they created a situation where they went and exterminated leaders out of all of these nations and kept the nation weak with those leaders so they could be like fish of the seas, which have no ruler over them, while their nation continued to grow with wisdom and technology. Every time a nation starts growing up, they go in and slay all the leaders and leave them come and keep a tree, keep growing. And if you keep cutting down a tree, that tree can never be a forest, but only the one that's allowed to grow becomes the forest. This is what happened to the Gentiles, where they kept growing, so their peoples and their race could be the dominant peoples up on the face of this earth. What they did was, they didn't understand the power of God. But here it is, a black man for the first time became a great uniter, the same way it was spoken of in Luke, where John the Baptist was a uniter, and he united the peoples together, living by the spirit of Elijah. And here it is again, it tells you in Malachi that there, at the time near the end, another great uniter will come and unite the people together, spoken of in Malachi chapter 4, verse 6. He said, verse 5, behold, I will send you Elijah, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day. That's when they used nuclear weapons. The Lord said the dreadful day of the Lord, and he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children. That means he's a uniter. And the hearts of the children to their fathers, unless I come and smite the earth with a curse. When you see the characteristics match the character, when you see the characteristics line up with the character, when this great uniter that don't supposed to be in place come in place and unite this place, then you will understand that he bears the spirit of Elijah, even if he didn't know who he was. I didn't know who I was until God had taken me up and caught me up in the midst of the air. And I came back down, and after that, my house was firebound between the two doorposts. The doorposts moved, and after 2005, after George W. Bush came out his father, then I understood that the house was part of the Bible prophecy as I began to do God's will. So the uniter don't know who he is, but he is a great uniter. Now, I did this in order to go to Isaiah chapter 6, the part where I was going to do, where I began. And I'm going to try my best to get through it this year because time is an essence. Sure, time is an essence, and I want to make sure I get this year. The first 3 verses in Isaiah was before the cross. This is where we were slain. So when I come back on my next recording, I will come here to where I return. And I will show you